Well, welcome everybody to today's webinar on solar on farms. We're thrilled to see how much interest there has been in this session. So just before we kind of kick into it, we've got just a few bits of housekeeping to cover off. So first of all, people's cameras and microphones, we have turned those off for the presentation because we have a very large number of people attending today or interested in this. If you have questions as we go through, please put those into the Q&A chat and we will do our best to answer those. Anything that we're not able to answer during the session, and we do have quite a lot of material to cover off, we will be answering after the session, providing written responses and circulating it to everybody who had registered and attended today. And just an extra note that the session today is being recorded. So before I kind of kick off, I'm going to just say a big hello and welcome. I'm Megan Hernard, the General Manager of Insights, Data and Communications at EECA, and I am the lucky sponsor of this initiative. And have a great team kind of working alongside me on this. So to that end, I also have Chris MacArthur joining, and he'll introduce himself and a couple of the other team later on in the session. So I reckon we can kind of kick into the details now. So just so that you understand what EECA is doing and why we're interested in this space is that our mission is to really mobilise New Zealanders in being clean and clever world leaders in clean and clever energy use. And obviously solar fits in very nicely with that. When we started to investigate the opportunities for solar, particularly in the agricultural sector, we wanted to kind of know whether there was genuinely a barrier there, what farmers might actually need. And so we started by talking to a bunch of farmers. And when we talked to them and interviewed, we found some really interesting things. The thing that everyone said was kind of holding them back from keeping going was actually having visibility of some real life data from similar farms that they have to theirs. So, and I know I'm talking to a bunch of farmers on this call. So I know that sometimes you don't want to necessarily, if you're a sheep and beef farmer, you don't want to know what's happening on a dairy farm. You want to have another example of another sheep and beef farm, or for example. So having real life data around how solar actually operates in that real life scenario was really important to help people make decisions. Likewise, the whole process of getting solar is still quite complex, and being able to navigate all the different steps involved in getting advice in the process was also something that everyone said would be really helpful. So having some type of, at least an online resource, or being able to talk to somebody when you had questions was really important. So that's the third point was, yes, some dedicated support that you could call and have a chat through the process was helpful. And then the last of all, the other big one that we heard was that the financing options and terms overall were not too bad, but actually it would help if some of those could be lifted and improved to make installation of solar more attractive. So with all of that in mind, we then started designing a new Solar on Farms initiative. And it's got quite a few different components to it. So we have stood up a dedicated 0800 number to provide help for farmers. So anytime you have a question, you've got somewhere that you can call. And that also helps provide some of that independent advice on how to navigate some of the tricky things that can come up around the consenting process, or just working through some of the applications. And then we are going to, and we'll talk about this a little bit when we get to the fund demonstration today, but we are aiming to try and make available a bunch of data around different farm type scenarios and how solar plays out in each of those. And at the same time, also create a series of resources and tools and case studies to help alongside some feasibility studies and some farm demonstrations, which is what I know everyone's eager to hear more about today. So with that kind of overview in mind, I'm going to hand over to Chris to talk a little bit more about the specific demonstration compartment of the program.
Awesome. Thanks, Megan. So as Megan's outlined, there is a broader program we're doing, but a key part of that is going to be this demonstration program. And we want to do it for a number of reasons. Obviously to help demonstrate the technology so people can see it actually working and get confidence in it. But it's also a good opportunity for us to gather data, and that data gathering will be not just on-farm energy use, but also some of the barriers and challenges that people are facing when trying to adopt on-farm solar, and any kind of learnings or tips that can be shared as well. Go on to the next slide. So the demonstration aspect is a big part of it. So we want people to tell their story of how they've gone through getting solar on their farm, what their energy use was beforehand and what it was afterwards, and basically do case studies and ideally open days as well to show other farmers what they've done, what worked well, what didn't go so well. We'll try and share that information with the industries using sector organisations and other communications channels. It's important for the farmers to have good connections with industry. So we want farmers who are kind of leaders in their community. Going to the next slide, please. So specifically, what are we looking for? We're looking for farms across a range of farm types. So we're looking and a range of geographic locations. So we want to have something that's top of the North Island, bottom of the North Island, top of the South Island, bottom of the South Island. Those farms around Taupo and Ashburton, I suppose we'll just consider those whichever bucket we need to fill. And we want to have at least 4 farms in these different farm types. So I won't read that out. You can see the different farm types there, but that's what we're looking for. And we think we'll get a range of sizes. As dairy farms typically have a high electricity demand, so we'll get bigger systems there. Whereas sheep and beef, most of the energy use can be petrol and diesel, so electricity is not such a big drain for them. Farms we're not looking to include is lifestyle farms, non-farm entities, utility scale. This is solar on farms, not solar farms, and government organisations, so research institutes and that sort of thing. They cannot apply. And we had a lot of debate about what makes an official a working farm, and we came to the conclusion that if you pay a levy, then that's good indication that you're a working farm. So that is a requirement that farm be a levy payer. Okay, on to the next slide. Okay, so what's available? We've got $4 million in total funding to demonstrate solar on farms with batteries. Sorry, it's an important point I must make. We are requiring batteries as part of this. And we anticipate that we'll get about 40 farms. That's our goal. The maximum amount EECA co-funding per demonstration farm will be capped at $200,000. And that's across the different technology types. So $100,000 for the battery and capped at $100,000 for the solar. Now we're funding a percentage, so we've got a percentage cap, but we also have a per kilowatt hour and a per kilowatt peak cap as well, just to ensure that we're getting good value for money. All right. So how it's tracking? Well, we've had a lot of interest. We've had 20 applications since it opened on Thursday at 10 o'clock. We've had about 80 calls to the 0800 number, mostly around the demonstration fund and criteria and that sort of thing. We've had 500 registrations of interest, and that registrations of interest is not just for the demonstration side of things. That's just if you're interested in the program in general and you want updates on the tools we develop and that sort of thing, then please register your interest and we'll keep you informed of how the program's going. All right. So what are we trying to achieve? I get I say this a lot, so if you've heard it before, I'm sorry. But we've used solar as the gateway drug to energy efficiency. It really helps people visualize their energy use in a lot more real way to them. And we do see that once you get renewable energy at a site and you've got those great monitoring systems that the manufacturers provide, then people are far more aware of their energy use and their energy literacy goes up. Obviously, we want to see economic gains, so cost savings for farmers are always a positive thing. We want to see farm resilience, so it is a requirement that the battery be able to support off-grid, not necessarily the whole load, but some circuits, that sort of thing. We want to see peak demand reduction on the grid, and that obviously leads to a kind of a more resilient electricity system for New Zealand. Okay, next slide. So we've got a team of people, myself, Karen and Sarah. They're both based in Wellington. I'm based in Auckland, but we're the people going through the application processes at the moment and supporting farmers who are calling the 0800 number or emailing the solar at EECA email address. Just go to the next slide. So this is where you can get support. We've got the 0800 number there. We've got a Solar on Farms website. And since this presentation is about the demonstration fund, a really key document I want to highlight is the application guidance, which Karen has helpfully just linked to in the chat as well. It's a really important document. It helps you get a good understanding of what we're looking for and the process involved. All right, that's the presentation. That gives us plenty of time for Q&A. Now, I've got a question about the levy. Being a levy payer is a requirement, but that you might need to look into your systems. If you're a working farm, then there may be some biosecurity levies that you're paying to MPI. You'll have to have a look into that particular instance there. We have allowed for contract poultry growers who don't pay a levy, but they need to prove to us that they are a contract grower and actually have a contract in place with a supplier. Given that planning and consenting can be highly viable by region, would it be appropriate to share our contact details to EECA directly for those who might be looking for assistance? We are looking into that. We don't have good data on what the different requirements are from the different councils, but so we are in the process of trying to gather that information. So we'd be very keen to hear. Again, I think I mentioned earlier, any barriers we want to hear about because we want to help, overcome them. So if there's a consenting barrier that you're coming across, then yes, please do get in touch with us. Can you please explain how the energy data has been collected? Yes. Okay. Most of the inverter manufacturers will have APIs where they share the data into the cloud that we'd be able to call on, and would make it a requirement of the contract that we get access to that. Now, this does highlight an important point. Most modern inverters comply to certain open communication standards. And so we're making a requirement that the inverter does. Pretty much all of the modern stuff does. But if there's an old inverter somewhere in a warehouse somewhere that might not be smart, then don't use that gear, and your installer would be able to help guide you through which gear does meet those standards. But because we've got batteries being a requirement of the system, there's always on-site energy monitoring as well, not just output of the solar. So that should give us really good data to work with. Is there a threshold for the size of farm? No, because we saw that the farm types can vary. This poultry farm can be quite small in terms of hectares, but yeah, so it's not a minimum farm size. It's that they have to be a levy payer, and we do have a minimum system size. So we are saying 30 kilowatt peak of solar as a minimum and 30 kilowatt hours of storage as a minimum. We're not planning to, so we've got a question here. Are you planning to increase the 40 application cap? No, we're looking for 40 projects. That's our target. And when we reach that, we'll stop the funding. We hope to be able to communicate to everybody, especially, again, register your interest. I do encourage you to do that. It gives us a great communication channel to keep you guys updated on how things are going. So like I said earlier, we've got 20 applications already. I think we will have a bit of a wave to begin with, and then they'll trail off a bit. That's that means we need to update people so that they're not applying unnecessarily. If we've got all of the dairy farms we need, we don't want dairy farmers going through the process and being disappointed.
Mm. And probably just an important point to add on the end of that, Chris, because I know that that's probably why a lot of people are here. This is, the purpose of this project is to do exactly what we've talked about around demonstration and trying to build out this network of farmers who can share their experiences. There isn't more funding in the pipeline. So I would encourage you, if you're not successful or you miss out, or this is not the right time, please don't stop thinking about solar just because this program has closed, because there's still huge amounts of benefits without any funding in place that makes solar a great choice. I wouldn't hold off hoping that there's going to be more coming, because there's nothing else in the pipeline from our side in the space.
Yeah.
Back to you, Chris.
Thank you. No, that's really important. And we don't want, from the industry point of view, the solar installers, we want to make sure that you know whether or not funding is available so that you can make a decision rather than be waiting to hear from us. So, yeah. I've got a question here about the most common questions people are asking at the 0800 number and email. Right now, because of what the fund being open, most of the inquiries are about the funding and what the criteria are to apply. Got a question about a sector that doesn't have a commodity levy. As a voluntary membership of an industry body association acceptable. As it stands, Karen has offered to answer that question. Karen, are you able to chime in?
Sorry, just picking up with regards to the commodity levy. If you could send us an email to solar@eka.gov.nz and just detailing what type of farm you're operating and memberships that you're paying, we could have a look at that. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks. Good question here. Date range for making decisions and awarding grant. We are evaluating these applications weekly as they come in, and we'll answer them. We'll let people know within a couple of weeks of the evaluation. Again, we are aware that you want to be able to make decisions and don't want to be waiting for us to give you answers. Again, another question around timeframes. I'd say between 2 to 3 weeks from submitting an application to finding out. Question from an installer asking, how do we register as a supplier? ECA is not taking registrations for suppliers at this stage. Are there any retailers on board with this trial? Are there any requirements for the batteries. So the battery is a requirement, but and the ability to export data using those open communication protocols. But there's not a requirement on the type of battery as such. We're not saying it has to be lithium or it has to be lead acid, or we even had an inquiry about compressed air. So that could be a flow battery. It's up to you to decide what's right for you for your situation. And I know farmers will be relying on installers for that good information. So hopefully, yeah, the key point here is it's up to the farmer to make those decisions and up to you to do the due diligence on the technologies with the support of an installer. We've got a question here. Is there any specific metric which will be taken into account for choosing successful applicants, such as organic farming? Not particularly around organic farming, but we want good demonstration. So that's good projects that have high sustainability values do have a good demonstration value. So it's not specifically we're looking for organic farmers or not. We're looking for working farms really, and ones with good demonstration value. So it's not a specific criteria, no. But it all adds to the story, which is good. Question, how are the applications going to be assessed? Are they assessed against each other on their merits, or is it a first come and first served that meet the requirements? The answer to that is it's a bit of both. So weekly applications will be taking the first come, first served, but we are assessing them. And the assessment, what we're assessing them against is, are they in the farm type where we are saying we need the technology demonstrated? Are they in an area that hasn't already been filled? Then we're going to assess them against the demonstration value. So that's where you tell the story about connection to the community and being happy to host open days and case studies and that sort of thing. And then we've got some criteria around the ability for the project to be delivered and the value for money for EGAT and the farmer. A big question from Maori Land Inc. that is transitioning from grazing lease to farming directly. Not sure what the question is there, but I don't see any reason that would preclude you from applying. I think that would be fine. Lower generation parameter seems low for the average farmer. Yes, is there flexibility around this for a 20 kilowatt system? No, we are asking for larger systems. We don't, residential systems are getting bigger and bigger. So we specifically set the 30 kilowatt system to be, bigger than residential. What if the levies are paid by the farmer grazing our land, but some of our cows who graze with his beef and cattle are also paying the levies? The applicant needs to be the levy payer, so that would preclude you. I'm sorry. That's this question here about our kiwi fruit pack house operations and difficult for them with peak needs over winter and issues with getting summer energy captured back into the grid. So that might be a site-specific issue where there is some engineering work that's needed. And you can include those costs as part of the application, yes. Things like structural assessments, if they're needed, include those in the costs. Yeah. Does the system have to be installed by one of your qualified installers online? No, EECA doesn't qualify the installers. We are really encouraging the farmers to do their own due diligence on the installers. Question about getting the data. We still haven't worked through exactly how we're going to present the data, but yeah, we want it to be open to as many people as possible. That's the whole point of doing it, really. But what that looks like in terms of anonymized or that sort of thing, we're still working through that. Is it available on a new farm? Yes, as long as it's already a levy paying farm, I think would be the answer to that one. Does it matter if you own the land or lease? This would be a big question for share milkers as well. It's the applicant would be the business, and if they lease the land, that's fine. Just need to make sure you connect with the owner of the land and make sure you have good agreement about what happens at the end of that lease would be something I'd stress. We are beginning to run out of time. So we've got a ton of questions that have still come through here. We are currently preparing a frequently asked questions document, which we will publish on our website, but we'll go through all of these unanswered questions and basically include them, especially, there's some themes in there around common questions. But again, we've got the 0800 number and we've got the email address. So please do reach out if you've got specific questions that don't get covered in the FAQ. Okay.
I'd just like to say before we finish up, thank you all very much for attending, but also probably keeping an eye on the website would be the best way of staying up to date with how things are progressing. We'll be putting regular updates on there. So perhaps before, obviously we're always happy to talk to people, but a lot of your questions are probably going to be answered on the website. So maybe check there first. And then if anything is still outstanding that you need to know, drop us a line on solar@eco.gov.nz or call the 0800 number then. But really appreciate everybody taking the time to join us today, and we will, as Chris says, finish answering these questions and circulate those to anyone who is registered and put them up on the website. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you.